Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Guys, this is going to be a very important video to make moving forward in this game. Now, listen, you don't necessarily have to use this feature when using cards. You can kind of still tell what they're like, right? However, this new feature in this game makes a lot of players that you would believe are not that meta become meta players in this game. This is a new feature in FIFA that increases the capabilities of a card like crazy when it's certain players. Players like Virgil van Dijk, Ruben Dias, Cristiano Ronaldo, Haaland, all of these cards getting this specific thing when it comes to chemistry styles makes them very good players in the game, especially because the game mechanics in this year's game works a certain way with the dribbling, right? You guys notice that there are players that feel absolutely insane, right? They don't even necessarily need specific boosts with certain chemistry styles. They just play significantly better, and it's because of this new mechanic in the game, right? So this is from the Twitter post that I found. Someone was mentioning it to me. Some of my mods were sending it to me, like my mod over here, Glasgow, sent it to me, right? So I told them I was going to make a vid on it, right? So I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about, okay? So let's get into the pitch notes when it comes to this new AcceleRATE feature, right? So AcceleRATE is an expansion to our player movement system, okay? Movement system. So we're talking about animation choices and on the ball or an off the ball movement, okay? So it's mostly like the off the ball stuff, but dividing players into unique archetypes. This enables us to showcase personality and player acceleration with the goal of improving the viability of different player types in FIFA 23. Right? This is the thing that they wanted to do to make certain players that you think aren't meta more meta. This feature is inspired by real-life differences between footballers, where even players with similar speeds can move very differently across the pitch. Most players will fit into the default acceleration type we are calling controlled. However, we have two new types called explosive and lengthy, okay? The lengthy one is going to be a really important one to look at. So, with the acceleration types, we have controlled, which is most players in FIFA 23 will fall into the controlled type as they accelerate uniformly in a controlled manner. I'll give you guys an example of someone who is specific to only one type of game style, right? So you could see that on Footbin, they actually list what type of play style the player actually is. So Rashford is a controlled player, right? So controlled players, right? They accelerate uniformly in a controlled manner. So very default stuff, right? Kind of basic in a way, right? But it doesn't make these cards bad, because I tried the Rashford card, he's pretty decent. The only thing you have to work with is the 3-star weak foot, like I showed you guys in the review. But then these two are the crazy ones, okay? But it's the lengthy one that's the best one. Explosive. These are shorter, more agile players who are able to quickly cover short distances and get ahead of their opponents, even if that means slowing down after the initial burst of acceleration. These players are quicker to start, but their acceleration rate slows down, right? An example of a player like that, guys, is someone like the Lionel Messi card. He is an explosive type of player, right? It doesn't matter what chemistry style you give, right? Let's see, basic. Let's take a look here, right? Explosive. Here he is controlled. Controlled makes him more basic. The explosive would be better to use, right? So that's why you want to give him those types of chemistry styles. So consistently make him explosive, right? Explosive, blah, blah, blah. This is if you don't want to do the calculations in your head, okay? Then you go to lengthy. The lengthy one is what's making some of these players absolutely insane, okay? Taller and stronger, Haaland, Ronaldo, Casemiro, Virgil van Dijk, Ruben Dias, right? Those types of players. Taller and stronger, these players need a bit more time to get going, which you guys know, I mentioned to you guys in the review all the time. Acceleration, sprint speed, low acceleration, and higher sprint speed is like a way that you play this game. But with this feature, right, but are able to catch up to anyone and even surpass them, provided they have enough distance, okay? These players start slower, but will thrive over long distances. Again, the acceleration and sprint speed splits, acceleration being lower, sprint speed being higher. Let me show you guys an example, okay? For defenders, right? If I were to go to Ruben Dias, right? Ruben Dias, this card right here. You see his pace looks really low. The card looks unusable, right? No. If you don't want to do the calculations in your head that they show you over here at the bottom to be able to attain explosive, lengthy, or controlled players, right? If you don't want to do it in your head, oh, let me see which chemistry style makes this over or makes this less. If you don't want to do that, just go to the chemistry styles one by one, right? One by one, and see what makes the player perform a certain way, right? So you can see that in Ruben Dias's case, he is consistently a lengthy player. So by default, right, he's going to perform significantly better. So what would you give him? Probably a shadow chemistry style, right? Boost the pace as much as possible, as well as defending. Believe it or not, this card ends up being really good in game, right? A card I'm curious of, because he's a cheaper player, is Konate. Let me see what Konate is. That makes sense. That makes sense, because Konate, this card right here, is actually very solid in game. For a cheap player that you're working with, he's actually pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Don't get me wrong, because I do have to mention this. You know, cards like this, you know, Varane, always significantly better. But guess what? Pace is already high. Lengthy player, shadow chemistry style, absolute monster, okay? Koulibaly, right? Kouly Daddy, as I say, lengthy player, shadow chemistry style, absolute monster. Who I actually want to see is the Palinha card, right? So Palinha, that's why he's usable. I use this card in my main team, and he's actually pretty usable. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, for the meta of FIFA, you want to have higher pace with lengthy, because then that's crazy, right? But shadow chemistry style, this card's actually still usable. In the defensive positions, he does a fantastic job for me, right? He's a very usable player, which is amazing. The big kicker here, okay, is the attackers. Because you look at the attackers like Cristiano Ronaldo, right? You look at the attackers like Cristiano Ronaldo. Listen, you can play the controlled playstyle, which is the default one. No problem. You could do that if you really want to. Give him the Hunter chemistry style. He remains controlled. This guy's a beast this year. I gave him a Hunter. He was still a monster. Okay, he was still a monster. However, we looked at the stats this year and we're like, oh, so many cards getting downgraded. What are we going to do? Oh, no, this year works differently with meta, okay? Obviously, the top tier meta players with the right AcceleRATE is going to make a huge difference. But with Cristiano Ronaldo, if you give him an architect, you turn him into a lengthy AcceleRATE, okay? You turn him into that, which makes him way better on those runs when attacking. Now, here's the thing, guys. On the Hunter chemistry style, he's already good at attacking. But like you look at this and you're like, oh, but Inception, the pace is too low. The pace works so differently this year. You don't often get into a position where you are constantly away through on goal. What you have to rely on is attacking AI working a specific way. Guys, if attacking AI, you guys already saw from the gameplay review, gameplay analysis video where I tell you guys that attacking AI has been slightly improved this year. If attacking AI on a card like this works wonders on a Hunter chemistry style, base card stats for shooting like that, right, with pace not being like crazy relevant, the architect chemistry style, or not the architect, is it the... Let me refresh this because I think it might have... I'm pretty sure it was the architect, yeah. The architect chemistry style, guys, is still going to make him explosive. It's going to make him explosive. Not initially, but the sprint, it's all about movement, okay? It's the movement you want on the pitch. The lengthy will provide that movement, because let's read it again. Taller and stronger, right? Taller and stronger. Taller and stronger, these players need a bit more time to get going, but are able to catch up to anyone and even surpass them, provided they have enough distance. These players start slower, but will thrive over longer distances. If your build-up is going to be slower this year anyways, right, which is the default for everybody, that's going to be crazy to work with. Okay? So, like I said, guys, if you don't want to do the whole calculation thing to see which cards have this, which cards have that, just go through each one of them, right? And then just look at the left side and see where it changes, right? Just see the points of where it changes. Right now it's controlled all the time because it's glitched sometimes, right? But architect, boom, you choose architect, lengthy, right? Let's go to someone like Lewandowski. Lewandowski's card. Oh no, he looks unusable. The pace doesn't look that great, right? But look at his base card stats for shooting and look at his base card stats for dribbling. Okay, right? He's a controlled player, so he's going to be like a kind of like a default generic guy. Default generic, but he's not generic because the physical strikers in this year's game, they're actually pretty good. Like if you didn't know about this mechanic, right, and you were to just give him a hunter chemistry style, he would still be good. He would. The physical type strikers are actually very solid this year. Okay, that's Erling Haaland's, Ronaldo's, even Harry Kane. Even Harry Kane's usable. Okay, they're not full meta, but they're usable. Okay, so Lewandowski controlled, right? Okay. You go to marksman chemistry style, boom, he's lengthy, right? But not only is he lengthy, but you are massively improving the shooting capabilities of the card, the dribbling capabilities of the card, and you're also giving him more strength on top of that. You look at the pace and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with the pace? Guys, the pace in game, because of animation choices, is better. You understand? It's better because you're not always going to be through on goal in this game anyways. The defenders will catch up, especially when people know about this whole lengthy thing, right? So you might as well just give a marksman chemistry style to boost the lengthy. Now, again, you can experiment and see, okay, which chemistry style gives what. Okay, you have to refresh it sometimes because sometimes it does that, right? Okay, so you got a basic, right? Sniper. Oh, sniper gives him lengthy too. So if you really care about making him very good in the air, giving him those long shots, shooting boosts like crazy, you can give him a sniper chemistry style as well if you really want to. So a finisher, he's back to controlled, right? Lengthy on a hawk, right? So if you don't care about, giving him a marksman to give him that small little dribbling boost and whatnot, you can give him a hawk and work with lengthy while also giving him the pace boost as well, right? So this feature is going to be an absolutely massive deal moving forward in the player reviews. Like I said, with Rashford and stuff, like if I search up the Rashford card, actually, let me see the Kim Min-jae card. Kim Min-jae. I think most of them are going to be lengthy. Yeah, so lengthy on him. Shadow chemistry style, this will be a usable card in game, right? So Shadow will still give him the lengthy. Rashford, though, because I was checking initially, he would not change, right? So I can like controlled, look, controlled, nothing. Sniper, nothing. Boom, 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 boom. So nothing, right? So there's going to be people that want like crazy full meta this year. They're going to be like, oh, this is controlled. I don't want this card, right? But controlled on this card, right? He still performs well in game. So don't think that only if a player is controlled, they're not going to perform well. No, this card still performs well. The only thing I have to work with is the weak foot, right? Which is a big deal. Like I honestly, skill moves is still massive to have. It is like those elastic hold, ball roll, scoops is super, super helpful to have, right? But a 5-star weak foot, 4-star weak foot, 5-star weak foot especially when I've used players like Ben Yedder and Diogo Jota, I'm telling you guys, for finishing, it is soup. Because finishing is significantly better inside the 18-yard box this year. It is significantly better to work with. So moving forward in the reviews, we are going to be checking out these things when it comes to the attackers because it'll be very important to check out. Because what this is going to do is that it's going to make a lot of these players way more usable. Okay, you're going to see players that are going to be coming out as SBCs. You're going to be like, this card doesn't look that good, but in game they're going to probably be crazy. This is not a FIFA year. In I would say the last like 3 or 4 years, you could probably determine which cards are good or bad without even using the card. Honestly, before I did the reviews, I had a very good idea of what the cards were like. The only ones that genuinely surprised me was Flashback Benzema, because of his attacking AI being insane, like last year. You guys remember this. But this year's game, like, you have to try out cards. I can't just tell you the card's going to be like this. I have a good idea because of certain stats and the way that the players move, because once you play a few games, you kind of get the idea of it. But this AcceleRATE game mechanic is going to change the way that we view players moving forward in this game, okay? So, like I said, if you keep cards uncontrolled, it's not bad, right? But the lengthy is what's going to make them very good, okay? So if they're good on controlled, they're going to be crazy on lengthy, pretty much, okay? Especially if it's the physical tall guys. So GG's to EA for this game mechanic. It's definitely a welcome inclusion in this game to make more players usable. It's actually a massive deal. Because people looked at Ruben Dias and they're like, oh, one of the best center backs in the world, can't use him. Nope, you can use him. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to implement this into the players that you end up using, because it's going to be a very big deal in regards to making players decent, good, or great. So I'll catch you guys for the next video. Peace out, dudes. Love you guys.